Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Reganelite's Viewpoint. Is my camera okay? Maybe I need to lower myself. Yeah, that's a bit... I'm paranoid about touching the camera because you know I've been having problems with it, guys. So I'm just going to have to be cut off from the top. Unless I do this. Squinch, which I don't really want to do. I was fiddling about with it, pulling the plug out and back in, yeah, because it was playing about this morning again. So hopefully the camera's not too big of an issue for you guys. I mean, you can see the top of my head anyway, to be fair. So yeah, it's just a bit annoying. I really want to touch it, but I don't want to, guys. I don't want to simply because I know what's going to happen if I do. It's just going to get frozen, and then I'm going to kick off. I'm going to be mad at myself for doing so. But anyways, well, for those who are new here, welcome to Reganelite's Viewpoint, episode 134 of this series. What we normally do on this series, we cover UK news. We've got 6 different stories to cover here tonight, as well as 2 funny stories to share as well. We'll be covering a little bit. We're going to be, obviously, the big story, obviously, is going to be covering reform in Suella Braverman. But we're also going to talk about 1 or 2 other stories. There's an exclusive from the iPaper about Starmer's Labour Civil War, apparently there as well. We've also got Reform UK said it would cut green policies to fund £2 billion in income tax cuts in Scotland. We'll have a look at that as well. I think extremely concerning, uncomfortable story from Sky News about more than 500 reported sexual abuses during military medical examinations. That is from Sky News there, guys. Another story as well, one that's not been under the radar with everything that's happening. AI and facial recognition is to be rolled out as Britain's broken policing system faces sweeping reforms. Very concerning indeed there with the use of artificial intelligence. And a story from a few days ago from Byline Times we're going to be looking at from the Daily Mail trial. How the British people say that press standards haven't improved since the phone hacking scandal. That's a piece from Byline Times there. Just to remind people, obviously, if anybody wants to support me in any way while I'm still demonetized, you can do so by buying me a coffee. Link is at the top of the comments. It's also in the description. Other alternatives as well, if you wanted to, you can also join the Patreon. Link for that is in the description as well. So who have we got here tonight? Witchygoff, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Do check out Witchygoff's YouTube channel if you get a chance to do so as well. User, good evening to you. Hope you are doing well. Mel, good evening to you. Evening all. A very silly duck in pain. What's wrong, duck? Mel, hope you are. Hope you get better soon. I'm sorry to hear that. Counter Kev, good evening to you. Hope you are doing well. Reform's new story, summarising one works, bollocks. We will get to that yeah, we're gonna get to it. Well, we're literally just gonna get to it right now, I'm afraid. Yeah, let's just get right into it. You know, Counter Kev, you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously the big story, of course, coming out of the UK is not Andy Burnham being rejected by Labour. No, guys. It is Reform have a new politician, a new MP, and her name is
Thank you, Nigel, for that.
Can't. Do you ever? I hate when you have Twitter videos on and you can't pause them. It's very, very annoying. Sorry, 1 second. And that is Suella Braverman. Suella Braverman has defected to Reform UK. This one was actually kept under the radar, so it was one that really that Kemi Vaganot couldn't really do anything about. These words really make me cringy, guys. Really made me cringy here. She says, "I feel like I've come home."
Thank you, Nigel, for that wonderful introduction. I feel like I've come home. And I gotta say, what an honour it is to be with all of you. Gallant, noble, brave servicemen and women. You've put your country first. You've sacrificed. You've given us everything. And from the bottom of my heart...
Wait, she has a heart? Didn't know there was one there.
I want to say thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for the United Kingdom. do that for applause. You didn't serve your country for reward. You did it because you believe passionately in the greatness of our country.
I'm sure because of how passionate you feel about our veterans and armed forces, surely you would have stood up and said to Donald Trump, "Screw you, Donald! How dare you disrespect our British armed forces?" You definitely did that, Suella, didn't you? You know, when you talk about our veterans, talk about our brothers and sisters who have fought and died, for this great United Kingdom. Surely, as a patriot of the UK, you would have stood up and called out the President of the United States for disrespecting us. You did do that, right? Right? Oh, that's right. You didn't say anything.
You believe fiercely in its valor. You're not apologising for our history. You're proud of the vast contribution that Britain has made to civilization for centuries.
Okay, that's enough of that. So I want to show you a couple of other things that's popped up since her defection here. So her husband resigned from the Reform Russia after party members took aim at his wife and former Home Secretary Suella over the Afghan data leak. This was a year ago, I believe, roughly around about a year ago. This was. It emerged that thousands of Afghans were relocated to the UK under security threat. But yeah. Her husband left Reform UK because they attacked his wife, Suella Braverman, and now the same person they slaughtered has now joined their party. Put that needle in a haystack. Obviously, the Labour Party had a suitable response here. From their perspective on this all.
People that are thinking about voting reform should think, do I want to have a party that represents me in Parliament that now has...
Look at that disgusting... I cannot believe that picture. Look, hold on. What is that? What on earth is she doing here, tilting her head like that? It's almost as if like they're like a couple. That's extremely awkward and very vomiting feeling, you know? Ugh.
Should think, do I want to have a party that represents me in Parliament that now has more Conservative MPs than Reform MPs that were elected in 2024? Nigel Farage is hell-bent on filling Reform's ranks with failed Tories. Of course, Suella was Liz Truss's Home Secretary. She was sacked, basically, after breaching the ministerial code. And we now have 26 former Conservative MPs that are now in the Reform Party.
Yeah, but if you listen to Nigel Farage, guys, after they did their press conference, Nigel would have you say, but we need experience. We can't have a party of MPs that don't know how to run government. We need experienced MPs, politicians. That's his argument, guys. That's his consistent argument, to you all, is that they need experience. That's what Nigel Farage is saying here. So, I don't know about you, but there is... Look, let me put it this way, right? It would make sense to get some experienced politicians if you're preparing for government. That makes logical sense. But you're talking about 26 is quite a lot of people to bring over. If it was a combination of both Labour and the Conservatives, people might not think so much of it. But the problem is it's all coming from one side, and their argument is that they're trying to be, obviously, the real right-wing party here.
People that
are thinking... Yeah, we heard you already. So, yeah, here's the story here. Husband quits Reform after 6 months. More, this is last year. Zero Yusuf criticised his wife. The move comes hours after Zero Yusuf, the party's defective TSAR, had criticised the former Home Secretary. Yeah, so and you can see here, look, the three of them pictured together here. Joined Reform in December and act as a senior cabinet on defending farmers' inheritance tax rise. And there's Braverman with Farage. So it was literally, we knew this was coming anyway. This was literally something that was inevitable. And this is very nice from the Telegraph. I will give them credit here. So here is the all the current and former Conservative MPs who have crossed the floor to join Nigel Farage's Reform UK. So currently we now have Suella Braverman, Lee Anderson, Danny Kruger, Robert Jenrick, and Andrew Rosendale, all MPs now for Reform UK. So that there. And then you have former MPs. Bloody hell, that's a big list. 3, 6, 8, 16, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I can do my maths, which I'm not very good at. 6, 9, no, 8, 16. Yeah, just a huge amount there. Lucy Allen, Bev Bradley, Nadine Zawari, Sir Jake Berry, David Jones, Adam Holloway, Jonathan Gullis, of course, Lucy Allen. I mean, like, it's, again, I get, like, if I try to put myself in the shoes from a right-wing's perspective, yeah, I can understand the argument of bringing in people for experience for being in government. However, you're bringing in experience from a bunch of idiots who did such a terrible job of running in their departments. What makes you think that they will run it any better than they did last time? And this is the scary thing. All right, this is what's really scary, guys. And I say the word scary because I resonate, a lot of what I feel like is going to happen with a bit like Donald Trump's second run as president. Donald Trump understood what he needs to do second time in power. A lot of these Conservative MPs who didn't get to do, a lot of these Conservative MPs who may argue and fiddle and whatnot, who didn't get to do the things they wanted to do beforehand, they will try to do what they will take even more drastic measures in comparison to being a Reform MP than they would be as a Conservative one, as ministers for the Reform government, because they will pull every single shackle they can to do whatever they want to tear things apart. So I'm getting this resonance of a lot of these Reform MPs who could end up becoming who are going to be ministers in Nigel Farage's cabinet, and they're going to absolutely just destroy so much of the institutions that we have within our system. That's what I feel like is going to happen, because a lot of them have been in the system and they've known that there are borders, there's rules and boundaries, and that because they've experienced that, they're going to know how to break past those rules and boundaries this time around. And that's very, very frightening indeed. And that's if they get into power, of course. At the moment, they still have the votes in their numbers, even with all these defections and whatnot. So here's one. I've watched the whole thing, but I'll play this for you guys for those who haven't seen it here. So Suella Burnham calls Kemi Baganoff a supreme leader who Tory MPs must pledge to lifelong allegiance to. It was a very toxic environment. There are now concentrated efforts to expunge from the party anyone who wants robust borders.
Politically homeless for the best part of 2 years. I have not had confidence in the Conservative Party, really, but I have tried to see whether it might change, tried to give it some time, and it's events over the last few days which have tipped me over the line. The fact that it is a very toxic environment. There is now a concerted effort to expunge from the party anyone who wants robust borders, who wants a tough approach to law and order, anyone on the right of British politics. There is a witch hunt. And they are, demanding pledges of allegiance to the supreme leader, it seems, within the party at the moment. Unless you're willing to pledge and vow lifelong allegiance, you're out. That's not the way to run a party. That's insecure, weak, and scared. It is not an environment where right-wingers have a home.
The only look, let me be clear. Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman have both jumped the ship because both of them wanted to be leaders of the Conservative Party. They are career aspirations. They both want power, and both of them saw the writing on the wall as both of them could not beat Kemi Baganoff. So what do they both do? So they both jumped the ship because they both knew that they couldn't challenge Kemi Baganoff at this point in time because she managed to turn the ship around. The polls have slowly been going back, slowly, ever so slowly, in Kemi's and the Conservatives' favour in the last month or two. The polls are showing that. Okay, it's not a lot, but many people are starting to see a stabilisation in the party. And the likes of Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick and many other Conservative MPs are feeling like who have aspirations, leader aspirations and whatnot. Think about themselves and whatnot. they're seeing, oh, I might as well jump then because there's no point. I'm not going to get in leadership. And it's like, well, how long do I have to wait before I can get to be leader? If I get to be leader, how long will I have to try and turn this party around against Reform UK? Well, if I can't beat Reform UK with the time that I've got between now and the next general election, if I can't get that leadership role, what's the point in me being here? I might as well go and join Reform UK. At least then, if I join them, I've got a very good chance of being in a minister position because I'm someone who has experience and background. And henceforth, this is exactly what they've done. Because they know if they get back in as get into government again, they'll get a nice bigger paycheck for themselves, as well as getting to be ministerial roles once again. And they all know once at some point Nigel Farage is going to fall as leader, and they'll all be picking the bones, trying to scrap over it as well. So, dear oh dear. Let me have a look at, just before I go to the piece that I've got here on it, let's have a look and see what some of you guys are saying about Suella Braverman here. Let me scroll up a bit because I haven't looked at some of your comments. Jal, good to see you there. Scott Hayes, 234, good to see you all there. Y'all must be so effing stupid to vote Reform. A total banger. Yeah, unfortunately, the thing is that we pay attention to politics. There's a lot of people who don't pay attention to politics. There's a lot of people who are voting Reform have no idea that there's actually so many Conservatives inside Reform's political party. A lot of them just don't a lot of them don't know that. And the other thing is as well is that none of them don't care as long as Nigel Farage is leader as well. There'll be people who will be like, I don't care as long as Nigel Farage is the leader, he'll keep them all in line. That's how he sees it. Andy says rats left the sinking ships, and the new ship has a crew of rats. Simon says it's good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Nigel can now attract the Sinopath apparently. Supreme leader, yep. Just imagine them hissing and snarling at each other like baddies on Dark Crystal. Says Andy there. Will Suella ever make more cringe TikTok? Stay tuned to the next episode. Suella does Reform, says Jal. Well, she does have a TikTok account. She has a TikTok account, remember, Jal? So, yeah, you're going to get some more. So, you might get some more cringy videos from Suella Braverman there. I wish you hadn't said that. No, I'm joking. Guys, do check out Jal's YouTube channel as well. There. I'm embarrassed to be English. No, Witchigov, don't be embarrassed to be English. Just be embarrassed that we have such a crap political system that doesn't that it's not a free and fair system. I think people that vote for Reform are all mashlites with mummy daddy issues and like a spanking. I don't agree with that. I think where a lot of Reform voters, I like to use the word misguided. Where many of them are feeling a case of dejection and rejection, and that sense of the established politics don't work for them anymore, and they want something different, something radical, because for a lot of them they feel that their lives have not gotten better, and they feel that Reform is their only option. But what they don't realise is that Reform are going to make their lives worse rather than better, and they unfortunately they won't see it until it actually starts happening to them, which is the thing is what I feel like a lot of people may be going down the path of thinking. Peach Music, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Blah blah, good to see you there as well. Hope you're doing well. Yuri says UK needs more rights. There on Twitch. So let's read a little bit into this, guys. So she's become the third sitting Tory MP to join Nigel Farage party in the last 11 days and takes Reform tally of MPs to 8. Braverman told Reform supporters, he's also say, I feel like I'm at home, And MP since 2015, Braverman was Attorney General under Boris Johnson and became Home Secretary under Liz Truss in 2022. She was forced to step down from her role a month later. After emerged, she has sent an official document to a Tory colleague using her personal email. Rishi Sunak reappointed her to her position just 6 days later upon entering Downing Street, but sacked her the following year over an article accused the Metropolitan Police of bias in the policing of pro-Palestine protests in London. This was the thing that when he reappointed her, there was so much anger and frustration over this. And the thing is that she had a lot of influence in the Conservative Party at that time. She had a lot of influence and she had a lot of sway from a lot of Conservative MPs at the time. And I remember that that Rishi Sunak had to give her something in order to keep her happy. But she was not a happy bunny because any time that she couldn't do things as a Home Secretary, she could just blame it on Rishi Sunak, and that's what she kept doing there. Speaking of reform, Grady, here she goes. She's saying broken immigration was out of control. We can't fix our country. We claim our power to rediscover our strength. Yeah. When, not if, here. She said her record as Home Secretary had been utterly useless. They were all utterly useless because they were stuck within the ECHR, he told reporters. Yeah, this is what they're doing. They're all saying it's all because of the ECHR. Because we were in the ECHR, this is why we couldn't get things done. Yeah, this is the kind of people we're gonna have. Yeah, running the country, right? Running the UK. Yeah, we're gonna have people who are given positions of power, and rather than taking ownership and responsibility, like a lot of Labour politicians right now, like a lot of Conservative politicians who don't take ownership and responsibility for when they make policy decisions and mistakes, right? Every time a reform politician is in a role or whatever, no matter what they do, no matter how bad it is for us, they will always find some way or some reason to blame someone else. They'll blame the civil servants, they'll blame unions, they'll blame the media, they'll blame whatever it is. They'll blame, hell, they'll even blame the French. They'll blame whoever it suits them. They'll blame the radical left. You'll start seeing that term from them if they get into power as well. You're going to be getting a lot of that kind of language. So we're going to be talking more about this over the next. Talking more about this, of course. She's a danger. She is a definite danger. She's very dangerous, and I would be very scared if she became Home Secretary again. I'd be very, very scared indeed, because I thought she was nasty. You know, I thought she was really nasty as Home Secretary. You know, the language that she came out of, the things that she wanted to do, I thought she was really, really nasty. I thought Yvette Cooper, for criticisms that I have of her as former Home Secretary, you know, I do think, yeah, with the exception of my position on Israel and prescribing Palestine action as a terrorist organization, I thought, apart from those things, I didn't think she was that bad as a Home Secretary. The current one Labour have is pretty terrible. I don't know if she's as nasty as Suella Braverman. Time will tell whether my position will change on that. I still think Suella Braverman was one of the most nastiest and evilest of Home Secretaries, and I'm very scared of having her back as a Home Secretary for a even more insane right-wing government that we could have in a reform one. I think that's very, very scary indeed. But we'll have to wait and see on that, of course, guys. The biggest issue in the UK right now is the lack of professional politicians with common sense and contempt. Even Starmer, that is the most competent of them all. Sorry, it's true. It is a nutter. Yeah, we don't have. The problem is those who are competent, they're in the back benches, and when they get to ask serious questions, there's a good chance that their questions get blasted away. Like, you had a genuine question from a Green MP asking about a very serious thing, and what does the Prime Minister do at question time? Not address this very serious issue. No, use it to slander the Green Party and Zach Polanski. You know, when there's an issue regarding Scotland, what does Scottish Labour with their questions do? They use it to slander the SNP, rather than actually talking about serious issues that affect the people of Scotland. Like, that's all they do. It's just slander, rather than actually addressing some of the real issues. There are times that the Prime Minister does, but there's a lot of the time, whenever he gets an opportunity to bash the Conservatives, the Greens, the Lib Dems, any other political party over the head, he'll take that opportunity every single time. Speaking of reform, because we ain't done with them just yet, and I'm sure my friends in Scotland can add to the conversation here a lot more on this here. So Reform Russia says it would cut green policies to fund £2 billion of income tax cuts in Scotland. The party's pitch to voters in the May Hollywood elections, dismissed as profoundly unserious and most comically so by analysis here. So we're going to cut your taxes. We're going to cut your taxes is what they say, guys. They're going to cut your taxes. Unfortunately for reform in Scotland, and unfortunately there are voters in Scotland who are going to vote for reform regardless of what you say. Although the number is not as bad as obviously in England, of course, and Wales, respectfully. The fact that they're saying this is just absolute balmy, and they want to cut green policies. This is just absolutely insane. Like, we need to go more green. We need more. We need to go more green. And they want cutting green policies will actually lead to higher energy bills. And I don't follow Scottish politics that well, but even I know that. And they want to fund £2 billion of income tax cuts. Like, have they even done the calculations on numbers, guys? Anyone, please tell me, have they done even the maths on it? Do they even know what a calculator is? So Reform Scotland, God no. Reform Russia said it would slash what it calls highly dubious environmental protections measures to help fund a £2 billion cut to income tax in Scotland if it won May's Hollywood elections, the party has said. Malcolm Offord, the multi-millionaire financer. Yeah, because that's definitely what you want, yeah, leading reform in Scotland. A multi-millionaire, because, yeah, a man with a lot of money, guys. That's definitely someone that speaks to the ordinary people of Scotland, that's for sure. Who was announced as leader of Reform UK in Scotland 10 days ago, used his first major speech to announce plans to realign the country's tax system, where higher earners are currently paying significantly more, with the rest of the UK and institutes a 1p in the pound cuts across the board. Despite repeatedly polling showing Reform UK neck and neck with Scottish Labour for second place behind the Scottish National Party, Ford claimed that May election was a two-horse race between his party and the Nationalists. He urged moderate unionists no longer represent the Tories and radical nationals no longer represented by the SNP to find common ground in their support for reform, but dismiss any prospect of a second referendum on independence in the medium term. He's lying to you. This reform party in Scotland, they are not interested in splitting Scotland away from the Union. They want to keep you with the Union. They're going to kick that can down the road. They're going to keep people who want an independence from the UK, right? They will say to them, "We'll do it, just not right now. Just not right now. Just stick with us. Stick with us, because you can't trust the SNP. Stick with us, yeah. We'll discuss it later on down the road." That's their language to independent voters. That's going to be their pitch to you all. Like, just stick with us, and eventually we'll get to it. That's what they're going to say. I say no to the distractions of another referendum for at least another 10 years without ruling one out in the future, he said. Yeah, he wants you guys to wait another 10 years. Recent polling from the Sunday Times suggests the majority of SNP and Labour voters would vote across their constitutional preferences in order to defeat reform. Speaking at a country club near Glasgow, Offord said that a total of 3p in the pound would be cut from income tax over the first 5 years of a reform government. The party believes that the realignment would cost 1.2 billion, with 850 million more for each 1p cut, Offord said. The immediate cost on day one of 2 billion, and that would be paid for by reallocation of the currently 9 billion that we spend on the highly dubious environmental protections, economic developments, and 122 unaccountable quangos, he said. What unaccountable quangos? Like, this is nonsense. Unaccountable quangos. Like what? Can you give us examples? Like, it's just throwing stuff out there and making it stick to the wall and hoping Scottish people will just buy into it. Just throwing it to the wall, and it's like throwing goo to the wall, and hopefully the goo will stay. Pressed on these details of the proposed cuts, Ford said the party had not conducted a line-by-line analysis yet. Oh, you haven't done your homework yet, apparently. Adding, all will be very clear about that. There's been a huge amount of overlap, duplication, and waste. Okay, so what can you share any more information on that? Stephen Boyle, director of the Institute of Public Policy Research in Scotland, described the proposals as profoundly unserious, almost comically so, saying he could not identify how Reform UK could come close to the savings it claimed it could make, and underlined a significant impact on public sector jobs and pay going forward should the proposals come to pass. He claimed to have viewed immigration policy through the lens of a Christian faith, having made references to his parable of a Good Samaritan. However, he went on to say, right now, especially in this cost of living scenario, we need politicians of our own people over strangers. Instead, from Inverness to Falkner, local people are witnessing priorities of service, opportunity, and safety being given to strangers, and that's not fair. They're not serious. They're not serious. They're not serious in Wales. They're not serious in Scotland, and you should not be taking them seriously. And all they're going to do is harm you. Like, people think they are the best thing to come out of sliced bread, and I'm just like you only need to see just what's happened across the pond when you bring in somebody who claims that they'll fix all your problems for you, that they'll make everything throw away, that they'll make all your lives better. Because that's what Donald Trump is. That's what Nigel Farage is. He's going to make everything perfect for you guys. He's going to make all your problems go away. And it's just not how life works, guys. That's just not how life works. Like the 40 years of Mog from the benefits of Brexit, says Jal. It's a boogeyman, says Andy. People talking against environmental protections laws and policies like the town idiot that is trying to act normal at the pub. Yeah. This is just a ruse to grab headlines. It does sound like that. It does sound like we're going to do these big cuts. And it's just like, how are you going to do them? We're going to do these big cuts. Can you give us the details? We'll give you details in due course, is what they say. But they don't give you a deadline, of course. So he thinks telling folks here a religious loony is a positive. Apparently. I don't know. I didn't watch all of Dave McGuinness. Watch all of what Dave McGuinness said on the matter. But if anyone wants to add to it with what he said, feel free to let me know. Sorry, guys. I thought I actually adjusted the screening on this one. Apparently, I did not. Sorry, one moment. I need to adjust this for you guys. Boom, 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 boom. Right. So next one I got for you guys is an exclusive here from iNews. So, Keir Starmer faces a Labour civil war after blocking Andy Burnham as allies fear a streeting bid. One moderate minister told the iPaper the move made Starmer look weak and cowardly, aimed at a volley of criticism from left-wing MPs. Didn't know they had a lot of they don't have a lot of Labour left-wing MPs left, to be fair, in that party. They're more centre-right Labour. I just want to also point out that Suella Braverman accused the Conservatives of being too left-wing as well. Or along those lines, the Conservatives are becoming too left-wing, apparently. They've been corrupted by centre-left sort of thing. I don't know, you put that square in a peg, square in a round jar, whatever, from what Suella Braverman said there, guys. As for Labour, I think this is a terrible... I've said this on the Good Morning Show, for those who didn't watch the Good Morning Show here. I think this is a terrible decision by the Labour Party, in particular the NEC, and for Keir Starmer here, because it does show everyone that Keir Starmer's a coward, that he's afraid of being challenged, and Andy Burnham has... you constantly hear behind the scenes that he wants to challenge Keir Starmer, right? But publicly, he's just saying he's not saying that he's against Keir Starmer and that he wants to be an MP and give his support and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like they know that Keir Starmer, they from their perspective, they're looking at it as we can't have. The argument they made in the papers is basically saying, but it'll cost too much money to run another mayoral election. We have to think about the taxpayers' money that it'll cost to it. And it's just like, you what? When did you give a shit about how much taxpayer money was being wasted on elections? This is all about trying to protect Keir Starmer and Morgan McSweeney and those on the right wing there are protecting their power within the government. This is about them protecting that. And they are desperate that if Keir Starmer does get the boot, they want to make sure that whoever takes his place is someone of one of their ilk, and one of their ilk is obviously West Streeting. He's the one that they want lined up for that role. If once Keir Starmer gets the boot, and he will get the boot, he's going to get the boot. We just don't know when. But West Streeting is the one they want. And Andy Burnham is a bit more left leaning than centre, and not only that, he's not with the established establishment of those in the NEC, of those in the Labour top ranks in the Labour Party, and it would not be in their interest to have an Andy Burnham as their Prime Minister in any way, shape or form. They don't want to go back to being a left-leaning party or anywhere near any kind of Corbynisation of any way, shape or form. They don't want to go anywhere near that, and they're prepared to do whatever it takes, even if it means losing a seat that they can win, even if it means they lose this seat in the by-election. It's worth the sacrifice to them as long as they maintain power. But that clock is ticking on them. That is almost for sure. Starmer should get all the unpopular stuff done, then wander off, and that the media hate goes to waste. Farage with his habits had 5 years left, says Andy. You know what I mean if we did away with all things plough fatilong? I don't know what that means, 234, sorry. QA Library says, God effing help us if West Streeting gets the PM job. He's the one. They want him. So what I've been hearing non-stop is that Keir Starmer was never originally the plan to be Prime Minister. It was always meant to be West Streeting. The plan was always meant to be West Streeting. It was always meant to be him. And it's all, yeah, and as you guys know, I've said this before and I've said this again, he has ties to private healthcare insurances there. So, main problem is we have fossil carbon here. So, Labour is facing civil war within its ranks on Sunday after Keir Starmer dramatically blocked his leadership rival Andy Burnham from running for Parliament. The Labour's Party National Executive Committee voted 8-1 against Burnham from being allowed to stand in the Galton and Denton by-election, which the Prime Minister among these voting against his leadership rival. Left-wing Labour MPs condemned the decision as disgusting and factual, but the opposition was not confined to the left, with one moderate minister telling the iPaper the move looked weak and cowardly. Burnham described the decision as disappointing, saying he was concerned about the potential impact on the important election ahead of us. In an apparent dig at Starmer and the NEC, he added, the fact that the media was informed of the NEC's decision before I was tells you everything that you need to know about the way the Labour Party is being run these days. You would think that over 30 years of service would count for something, but sadly not. That's quite an interesting statement there from Andy Burnham. That does say a lot there about how he feels about Keir Starmer, how he feels about how the party is now run, because they just don't want him. They just don't want him there. I hope so, Kevin. Good to see you there. I hope you're doing well. I hope so, but I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence in that, because they want that he was always the plan. The plan was always for him to be Prime Minister, but obviously they changed the plans. However, others in the party have accused Greater Manchester Mayor of willfully plunging Labour into infighting in pursuit of his own ambitions. There are also concerns among Starmer allies that the fallout from the affair could be exploited as a pretext by other leadership contenders, such as the Health Secretary West Streeting, to mount their own challenge for the Prime Minister. I'm disappointed by today's NEC decision, concerned about a potential impact on the important elections ahead of us. To whoever's Labour candidate is and to our members and townside, you have my full support and we'll be there whenever you need me, is what he said. Yeah. News of the result immediately triggered a volley of criticism from MPs on the left of the party. In a message to Keir posted on X, the former Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell said, do not underestimate the depth of anger people will feel about this disgusting decision. If you think it strengthens you, I will tell you it will simply hasten your demise. You're showing magnanimous leadership, but instead it's cowardice. Yep. Richard Burdon, I expected him to say this. Starmer and his critique have shown they're prepared to lose Gordon and Denton to reform just to protect narrow factual interests. It's weak leadership and only deepen the crisis the party is in. 100%. This is exactly what it is. They are prepared to sacrifice a seat in order to maintain their power. That's what it's about. And Natia Winterman, the MP for Nottingham East, claiming the Labour right care more about setting personal scores than winning elections. They're destroying the only electoral vehicle currently capable of stopping a pro-fascist government in 2029, she added. However, others blame Burnham for opening the wounds in the pipe by trying to get a common seat for which he could launch a future leadership bid. Graham, a veteran Labour MP for Manchester seat of Blackney and Middleton South, told the iPaper Andy put the Labour Party in a position where wherever it decided it was going to be internal fighting. Didn't want Andy to stand. It leaves a back door open for reform in the country. Had they let him stand, it would have been a high risk. Not letting him stand is a risk of real internal party ambitions. He's entitled to his ambitions, but timing is important, and he made a promise to stay the full term as mayor. So this is the thing, right? If he had stepped down as mayor, then what would your if he finished his time as mayor, would the position be different? A Labour MP from 2024's intake told the iPaper the party had been caught in an unfortunate catch-22, which I would have hoped Andy Burnham had the self-awareness to avoid. Personal ambition always overrides, they said. He knew exactly what he was doing. Block him and say democracy is being hindered. Allow him to stand and you unleash months of will he, won't he, and when will he leadership melodrama. There can be no excuse for a Labour Party in government for the first time in a generation and allow itself to be dragged into the same types of leadership personal issues that dragged down the Tories. That is not what so many of us newer MPs fought for over many months before the 2024 election. Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is the ultimate reality is, and I'm going to be blunt here, the Labour Party have made so many U-turns and made policies that was nothing related to the party before it got elected in the general election. Yet many of the manifesto commitments, like I don't remember a policy about cutting or changing disability entitlements for people on entitlements. I don't remember that policy. Just for one. They kept throwing out so many different policies that I was like, huh? What are you doing here? Like, and they kept U-turning. They kept U-turning and backing down. And it's a joke. Like, and they say we don't want to be like the Tories. You're acting like the Tories by imposing policies that are not popular, and you've done no bloody consultation with the very people you're going to affect. So when you say you don't want to be like the Tories, then maybe if you're going to introduce a policy, maybe stick to it and actually speak to people that it's going to affect before actually bringing it forward. It's so easy for them to say, oh, we're not like the Tories. Well, then why are you doing so many policies and doing so many fucking U-turns then? An MP loyal to Starmer said the NEC's decision was an unsurprising given Burnham's criticism of the Prime Minister's leadership and Rachel Reeves' economic policies. No one would have publicly criticised the Labour Prime Minister and Chancellor would ever get through a by-election interview panel, they said. There isn't a get-out clause just because you're famous and you're a mayor and you want to run for leader. On the Labour divisions, he said, I'm sure there will be lots of people that are very angry, but I suspect most of them are probably the people that are already very angry. The MP said that if Burnham had been permitted to get the by-election candidate, the whole thing would have been a circus. The press would be following every canvas session below at him. Do you back Rachel Reeves' economic policy? Does Keir Starmer got your confidence? And every minister or MP would come to your campaign would have the same treatment. Yeah, this is also an argument, a fair argument from those within Labour, whether you agree to disagree, which I disagree with. Good evening, Daily Blase. Hope you are doing well, guys. If you didn't see the post I put up, so myself, Daily Blase, we're going to be on Braverman Talks YouTube channel this Wednesday. At 8 o'clock. Could be talking about some interesting topics there. So if you want to join us for that, that'll be on his channel at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, guys. I need to give you more details about... I did give you a link, Daily. I don't know if the link worked for you, but it didn't work for me. I need to let him know about that as well. There were concerns that among Starmer's allies on Sunday evening that Streeting or other leadership contenders might try to exploit the upset over the NEC decision. Reports in one Sunday newspaper suggest supporters of Streeting believe he would command support of up to 200 Labour MPs in a leadership contest. Streeting had previously denied playing a leadership challenge and said on Sunday his entire focus was his role as Health Secretary. Bollocks. On Saturday, Streeting had criticised disgraceful briefings against Burnham and had dodged the question of whether he'd be allowed to stand. Streeting said it was a decision for the party, not the cabinet, and added, I've been told in uncertain terms that is my answer to the question. The MP loyal to Starmer told the iPaper it could be used as some sort of pretext by West to make a move, which would be odd that the candidate with the right of Keir would present himself as a champion of agreed aggregated members who didn't get to make a choice or whatever. They added, I've come out of the last 48 hours more determined to protect Keir because I think the behaviour of all the leadership candidates has been a bit craven. It makes me think that they don't really trust any of these people. They all just seem to want to get the top job and not thinking about the wider interest of the party. One minister told the eye paper that Starmer's blocking of Burnham looks weak, cowardly, and another injured to an already broken man, the Prime Minister. They added, who wins? West. Which I think is pretty true there. Daily Mail makes people sick, lacking critical thinking. Yeah, that's why I don't use the Daily Mail 234. Also, they asked for too many. Too many cookies. That's why I don't use them on the Good Morning shows. If they didn't have so much cookies and whatnot, I probably would use it just to criticize their stories and whatnot. But I can't because it's just got too much on there. What do I think is going to happen now? Well, I think just Andy Burnham is just going to carry on as Labour Mayor. I just generally think that's it for now. And perhaps maybe when Keir Starmer crashes and burns, maybe, and that's when I think West Streeting is going to swoop in. It's just a case of perhaps if the Labour Party gets slaughtered at the local elections in England and the other elections in Wales and Scotland, then obviously we'll see how badly they do there. So Matthew Torbett has resigned from the Labour Party. Is that just now, is it? 1 second. It's not on the don't see it here. Nope. Not seeing it on the mainstream media. Anyway, guys, I don't want to take up too much time because we've got plenty of other stories to cover here. What the hell's wrong with my... oh, there we go. There it is. Guys, I've got a short video for you guys just to kind of lighten the mood here. This one is from Garen. It's been a while since we had a Garen video, guys. And then we'll have a look at some other stories as well here, guys. So... I don't know what Garen's trying to make here, but I think he's telling Canadians that it's over for them, apparently. Probably because of the temperatures. But I'll let you guys decide whether you think it's over for Canadians.
Is this? Why are you living here for? Minus 35 degrees. That's fucking dying weather. You wouldn't catch a woolly mammoth out in that. He'd be at home in front of the fire with a cup of tea and a little snood on him and a snuggie. Mother Nature is clearly telling you to fuck right off. You've been shown the door. Stop fighting it. You're not welcome in Canada anymore. Kind regards, Earth. I can see you've built all these lovely buildings. Just cut your fucking losses. Abandon them. And look at this. It's fucking making its way over to us. We won't survive that. Anyway, somebody needed to tell you, minus 35, you're all going to die. Get the fuck out of there. Canada is over. It was nice while it lasted. Hopefully some Canadians found this helpful and follow me, I'm delicious.
Yep, it's minus 35. That's it. It's over. Canada's dead, guys. It's over for them. It's over. Give it all up, guys. Oh, Garen, man, give them a chance. Give them a chance. They might survive. But generally, I do want to say this, guys, just for reference here, guys. If anybody over there is listening to this from America or North America or Canada, please stay safe. Please stay warm. I know the cold is really, really brutal. I've heard reports that already 10 people have died in the winter storm already over there. Please, please, please stay safe. I can't stress that enough. There. It really, really, really is, you know. What the fuck was that? That was Garen. That was Garen. Do check out his YouTube channel. He just does funny stuff like that. He's just a funny guy. With the music as well, it's like, it's over. You gotta leave Canada. It's over. It's too cold. He's obviously never been to Yellowknife. Okay, guys, a very serious topic we're coming into next here, guys. A very serious one here from Sky News. So more than 500 reported sexual abuses during military medical examinations. Police said hundreds have come forward to report abuses in incidents across the UK between the 1970s and 2016. 500 reported sexual abuses during military medical examinations. What the fuck is my first thought? what are we doing here? Like, who is allowing this to happen? And I would say that this is another sign of more of a culture problem within the military. It's not just rank and file of people who are allowing it to happen. It's a culture thing where women are treated indifferently to men in the military, and it feels like there's still that problem there, that they still haven't sorted this out. Impersonator, good to see you there. I hope you're doing well. So let's read more into this. So detectives are encouraging anyone with information about sexual abuse during military medical examinations to come forward after receiving more than 500 reports. So Wiltshire Police launched an investigation after recruits alleged they had been abused during medical examinations to join the army. The force said more than 500 people had now made contact to report incidents between the 1970s and 2016 across Britain. Police have also heard from serving and former members of the military, as well as people who did not join afterwards. So there were obviously some people who went through it all, who suffered abuse and were rejected after. The investigation has been widened to include medical examinations for the Navy and the Air Force. Detective Superintendent Darren Hannett has said the number of people who have contacted us highlights the seriousness of the abuse being reported. My team and I are committed to engaging with each survivor and witness. We would like to speak to anyone who has information which can inform our investigation. We recognise how difficult it can be to come forward with experience like these, particularly when they have occurred many years ago. He says the scope of the inquiry has to widen to include anyone who has information about concerning behaviour at military medical examinations, including civilians or those serving in the branch of the armed forces. You do not need to be sure whether your experience falls within the scope of this investigation, he said. Our team will assess any report and ensure that it is handled appropriately. Any report will be treated with the utmost sensitivity. Our officers will listen and support you. Our team will review every report carefully and in detail. DS Hannett said it may take a few weeks to make contact with those who report an incident due to the volume, but stressed every report is being taken seriously. Quote, the information provided us helps us understand what has happened and identify any steps we need to take to safeguard others, he said. Defence Minister for Veterans and People, Louise Sander-Jones, said those who serve or seek to serve our country deserve to be treated with dignity and respect at every stage, and encourage anyone affected to come forward. Quote, the scale of the response is deeply disturbing, but it highlights the courage of those coming forward to share these distressing experiences, and I want to assure every single person that their voice matters, she said. I'm committed to rooting out sexual misconduct wherever we find it, and fully support Wiltshire Police to pursue this investigation with the thoroughness it demands. The fact that already they've had 500 people have made contact to reported instances, it is very frightening indeed, and obviously it sounds like there may be even more than that here. Obviously I've never joined the military. I've never been in part of the military. I can't speak in any way, shape or form what it's like to be in the army, what you have to go through and whatnot. I can only speak from an outside perspective in this one, and I really want to stress that to people. It's, regardless of how you feel, and I've said this before to people, that regardless of how you feel about soldiers, about war and whatnot, but in particular, obviously, the decisions that are made by soldiers, we're talking about people who have to have medical examinations in order to want to become a soldier, or whether to join the Army, Air Force or Navy. And in some of those cases, rather than actually being able to, proper medical examination about whether they are okay or not, they've actually suffered abuse instead. Or a case in terms of blackmail in some way, shape or form. I'm possibly blackmail, in order for them to be able to join the army, for possible sexual intercourse. I'm speculating, of course, because we're talking about sexual abuse here during a medical examination. Oh, you want to pass your medical examination, we have to do X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm alleging, because, you know, we're talking about 500 reports here. It sounds like, yeah, that there was, and it doesn't sound like this is one or two medical examiners who did this. This sounds like, you know, if we're talking about 500 people, this sounds like something that has been a culture reference here, because we're talking about this between 1917 and 2016. So something that has happened, something that has been happening for a while. And there should be a question about whether it is still happening. I cross fingers. I hope it's not happening anymore. But the fact that this has been happening, that this was happening for literally how many years? 46 years. Possibly longer, that we don't know about. It's very, very scary indeed. This is one that's going to take a while. And I will try and keep an eye on it whenever there's any more updates on it. But it's really deplorable. And I honestly don't know what the repercussions are as more of this comes to light. It's quite damning, as said. Dame, again, it's good to see you there. I hope you're doing well. Are you talking about the cough test? No, it's about medical examination, military medical examinations. So they're saying report of 500 reported sexual abuse during military medical examinations. David, that's what it's about. Across more than 500 across the UK. There. But you might obviously, when you joined the army, obviously you would have to go through a medical examination like any other soldier. So you obviously knew what that was. The standard was. I wish I knew where Dave I made famous bollocks test, says Peach Music. Yeah, the bollocks test, confirming you are what you say you are. I think that they need wandering the hands. I thought they would never be caught, says Kevin. Ellie said, I joined the military. Well, I mean, I joined a couple of soldiers for a chat at a bar, says Ellie. Yeah, that's not the same. I mean, you can make, you know, you can put on the jacket and the trousers and feel like a soldier, but you're not actually a soldier. So you're not actually a soldier, but you can pretend to be one. You can pretend to be one if it makes you feel better. Did I ever tell you guys, my dad twice when I was younger tried to get me to join the army. Didn't force me to, but I never agreed to it. It does make me wonder where my life would be if I had, you know. I probably would still be with the army, actually. Probably would have been. Anyway, guys, moving on. Let's I don't like this Home Secretary, and I'm sure you guys don't either. This is from The Independent. So, artificial intelligence and facial recognition to be rolled out as Britain's broken policing system face sweeping reforms. Officials say using AI will free up to 6 million hours of police time, the equivalent of 3,000 police officers each year. Yeah, so they're going to be using artificial intelligence to identify people on the streets now. This is basically now a system that's literally going to examine your face and whatnot, and basically read you. If they read you, and if you're clean, if you haven't done anything wrong, you're fine. But if you've got any troubles or whatnot, so I hate this. I think this is once again more police powers being given to them. I don't like it. I don't like that this is being done. There's a part of me where it's like, well, Regan, we're going towards more AI anyway, so we should be using it. But yeah, but I just feel like, again, it feels like another aspect of our privacy being impeached upon here. You know, that they're going to be like looking up that you're going to have an AI who's literally going to be in their on their camera as they're passing along or whatnot, or on a surveillance camera, and they're basically going to be reading all your data and all that kind of stuff, checking to see you haven't done anything wrong and whatnot. And it's just like, now, if you haven't done anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about. Well, what if let's say, for example, guys, what if a reform government gets into power and your profile gets pinged up by AI and it's like, oh, this guy's not, this guy said bad things about reform. Or this guy tweets bad things about reform. Oh, this guy's a content creator and says things about reform. You know, the AI is picked up on this. You know, I don't like that. You know, I'm worried about how reform could weaponize this. I'm worried about how AI could be weaponized against innocent people. Not so much about guilty people, but about innocent people. And like every other AI bot, they always make mistakes. They're not perfect, as I'm sure you all know as well. So the Home Secretary has announced plans to ramp up the use of AI and live facial recognition as she unveils the sweeping reforms to fix Britain's broken political system. Shabima Mahmood is investing 140 million to roll out technology which she hopes will free up 6 million people, 6 million police hours each year, the equivalent of 3,000 police officers. It's part of the biggest overhaul of an outdated policing model designed for another century. Artificial intelligence technology will be deployed to rapidly analyze CCTV, doorbell, and mobile phone footage, detect deepfakes, carry out digital forensics, and speed up administrations such as form filling, redactions, and transcriptions. Ms. Mahmood said criminals are operating in increasingly sophisticated ways. However, some police forces are still fighting crime with analog methods. We will roll out state-of-the-art tech to get more officers on the streets and put rapists and murderers behind bars. The government is also increasing the number of live facial recognition vans fivefold, from 10 to 50, which will be used by forces across the country to help catch wanted criminals. The measures announced on Monday are part of a bigger overhaul to policing in England and Wales in 200 years. Other changes including the formation of a FBI-style National Police Service to tackle terrorism, fraud, and serious organised crime. This I don't like, an FBI style. I don't like that term. Don't use that American slander term. We are not America. I don't like this. I don't like that at all. A significant reduction in the number of police forces in England and Wales, which could see the forces, 43 forces merged to as few as 12 mega forces. Yeah, because that's definitely what we need. Less police officers on the streets, guys. That's what's going to happen as a result of this. Yeah, you're going to have less police officers on the street as a result of this as well. Neighbourhood policing teams in every council ward to tackle the epidemic of everyday crime. Officers required to hold and renew a mandatory licence to practice in order to serve. Home Secretary given powers to stack police chief constables and drive up standards in struggling forces. This has given them more powers. The government's police reform white paper also announced plans to review whether the policing of non-crime hate incidents is proportionate. The new NPS designed to tackle serious crime has been described as Britain's FBI and will merge with existing National Crime Agency, counter-terrorist policing, the National Police Air Service and National Road Policing, all under a single organisation. Yeah. So things like the British Transport Police and all that kind of stuff, they're going to be going away. They're all going to be all part of one system now. Instead of all these different systems, it's all going to be under one system, which is going to lead to officers losing their jobs. It will be led by a new National Police Commissioner who will serve as the country's most senior police chief. Although the exact number of regional forces under the new model has not been announced, the first force mergers are expected before the next election, following a review in which we'll report back to the Home Office this summer. Laying out our plans in the comments, Ms. Mahmood said, taken together, these are without question major reforms, and transformation of the structures of our forces, the standards within them, and means by which they are held to account by the public. These are the most significant changes of how policing works in this country in around 200 years. The world has changed immeasurably since then, but policing has not. We have excellent and brave police officers across the country. We have effective and inspiring leaders across many of our forces, but they are operating within a structure that is outdated, making their job of policing in our streets and protecting our country harder than it should be. I agree that we do need to upgrade to more and newer technology. I just don't like the direction that we are going with this. I don't like the direction we're going with this, and I'm personally honest. Police chiefs welcomed the overhaul as long overdue on Monday, with the chairman of the National Police Chief Council, Gavin Stevenson, telling journalists there are currently too many chiefs. You've got rapidly changing new technologies which show huge promise, and you can't get them rolled out because there are too many decision makers in the system, he said. If we want to put in the hands of every neighbourhood cop, every local team, the best available technology, we've got to do that once for everybody, and then get it rolled out. Any major changes are expected to be rolled out of phases until 2034. After they have come too late, Ms. Stevens added 20 years ago would have been good. Today is good as well, so we ought not to lose any time. It's really important for us that these changes that we keep momentum and see them thorough. Still a breaking news story, this one here. I really do have reservations about artificial intelligence. I have reservations about this. But I also understand that the police need to change and adapt it to times. But do I trust this Home Secretary here to do it? Absolutely not. The language that I've seen, like the language coming out of her, does not trust me as somebody that I feel that's a Home Secretary that's taking our police in the right direction. It is radical change. And is it radical change that's actually for the benefit of the police in England and Wales? I'm very sceptical of it. But I do also understand that there needs to be changes as well. I'm just very concerned about the whole facial recognition thing. I'm not comfortable with it, me personally. Giving police more powers is frightening and dangerous, which they are doing, Steve McMahon. Good to see you there. Yeah, they are giving them too much powers. I don't like it. I don't like the powers that police already have. They have far too much powers. And when it comes to people being able to peacefully protest, we're having less and less than that here in the UK. The intelligence services are meant to get a warrant for triangulation and can pinpoint location by pinging your phone. Yeah, if you have a phone, you're buggered. You need to. I wonder if you have an old Nokia or whatnot, you might be able to get away with it. But yeah, if you've got a phone like mine, you can easily track me. You easily can. Right, we've got one last story, guys, and then we got a funny video to see ourselves out here. And this one is from Byline Times a couple of few days ago. Only 2 days ago, to be fair. This one here, the Daily Mail trial. British people say the press standards haven't improved since the phone hacking scandal. As the Daily Mail goes on trial for alleged law breaking, a new poll finds 7 in 10 voters demand independent regulation of the press. How many newspapers are? How many media outlets are talking about this, guys? Talking about press standards. Talking about 7 in 10 voters demanding independent regulation of the press. You don't hear that from the. You don't hear that from the Guardian. You didn't hear that from Sky News, the Independent. You don't hear that from the Mail, the Telegraph, and whatnot. Why? Because they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that people want regulation, want more regulation on their media and press. That's what they're telling you here. They don't want you to know that. But Byline Times does. Byline Times are not going to bullshit you here. So British people believe standards in the UK press have not improved since the phone hacking scandal 15 years ago, with 7 in 10 voters demanding the industry be independently regulated for the first time according to a new poll. The survey conducted by pollsters Optimum, well, I'm sure we've heard from them before, for the Press Justice Project charity, found that 54% of those surveys said press standards either haven't improved or got worse over the past decade, with a further 71% saying the press should now be regulated by a body independent from industry or politicians. And I don't know about you guys, but I think I'd be surprised if anyone disagreed in the chat with that. I think we can all agree that that definitely needs to be done. Voters want publications to be more accountable for inaccurate reporting. 73% of those surveys said they believe press corrections should be published with the same size and prominence as the original misleading reporting. Support for reforming the press could be found across all supporters of all parties, according to the poll, including voters for Nigel Farage's Reform Russia. That's right, guys. Even the voters for the Reform Russian Party are calling for more regulation of our media. Of all the potential options for reforming the press, the most popular was for newspapers and their websites to be regulated by an independent statutory regulator like Ofcom. You know what? I like that idea, guys. I don't know about you, but I like that idea. According to the polls, most of the readers, Metro 45%, Daily Mail 38%, the Daily Express 37%, The Scum 35%, the Daily Tory Graph at 33%, the Times 31%, all backed independent statutory regulation as their favourite option. None of these papers are currently independently regulated. So Stephen Kinisia, the OBE chair of the Press Justice Report, has said, Newspaper publishers often say they have cleaned up their acts since the appalling practices revealed by the phone hacking scandal and argued that there is no need for reform of press regulation. No, guys, we don't need regulating. We're all good boys. We all do as we're told, right? We're not doing anything wrong. We're just expressing the media how we want it that benefits us. Quote, every week, we at the Press Justice Report hear from people affected by wrongdoing in the press which proves otherwise. These results that the wider public shares our concerns. There is a clear public demand for independent press regulation that provides effective remedies when newspapers fail to uphold ethical standards. Press wrongdoing continues to affect people from all walks of life. Almost 15 years on from the phone hacking scandal, there is still an urgent need to protect the public from press abuse. The Press Justice Report shares the public support for legislation in that encourages industry compliance with independent and effective press regulation in the interest of the victims of press wrongdoing we were established to assist. The findings come in the same week a High Court trial opened into alleged law breaking at the Daily Mail, including allegations of phone hacking, landline tapping, burglaries, and theft of medical records. More than 400 potential victims have been identified by the claimants' lawyers after evidence was uncovered suggesting that they were hacked and blagged by the Mail titles. The claimants alleged phone hacking and other unlawful practices stretching back decades. This is the Daily Mail, which people still to this day try to defend as a reasonable. There are still people out there who see the Daily Mail as a bog standard, just like any other newspaper organization. No. The Daily Mail are just as terrible as the Sun, and the Rupert Murdochs of this world. And you can go back in history. Like, this is the same paper that tried to justify us. Maybe we should turn fascism. Maybe we should support the German Nazis. Like, this is how corrupt and evil these people are. I mean, it just says everything you need to know about them. I'm very glad that Byline Times had this piece here. I think this is very worth reminding us that there are people out there who want change in our, want statutory regulation, who want regulation of our media, and we need to have that. We desperately need to have that. Because if we don't, it's only going to continue to get worse. Every single day that our media is unaccounted for, there's always going to be wrongdoing. There's always going to be wrongdoing out there. Public push agendas create money. Yep. It's about money and power. And it's about holding on to power. And the systems that they have and keeping the same systems in place. That is what it is. It's not just money, Mr. E, but it is about power and keeping the same system. And just pivoting the public into a certain direction, into thinking certain ways. Jal says, right now Americans are watching European news to know what is happening in their country. Not all Americans, sadly. Not everyone is not watching Fox News. Some people are online. Some people, remember, it's always important to emphasize this, right? While lots and billions of people across the world use social media, right, and whatnot, not everyone uses social media. Not everyone watches politics. It's really important context for everyone to understand here that not everyone is going to be on Twitter. Not everyone's going to be on YouTube right now or listening to different platforms. Not everyone listens to... Some people don't even listen to any news at all. And sometimes people don't pay attention to any politics or any news outlets or whatnot. And some people may just simply walk past and see what a headline in a newspaper says. And they can decide to take things. Everyone is different. It's really important to distinct that there's always different types of people. Is there some people who aren't paying attention to the mainstream media in America? Absolutely. But to say that but I wouldn't say everyone is. Yes, there are people who are doing that. I absolutely agree with that. But definitely not everyone, for sure. UK is one of the worst. It usually does far too late on most civil concerns. Absolutely, Kevin. Absolutely. And I know how infuriating it is for you guys up in Scotland, because you've spoken many times about how much BBC Scotland misconstrues about, so pro-union, so biased one side. You guys have given me, and I've seen it, and you guys have actually sent me examples on Discord in the past. I've actually seen some examples of how one-sided it is as well. So we should have never left the EU. We should never have left the EU. Absolutely, Andy. We should never have done. So Right, guys, we got one more video to see ourselves out here. Hope you guys enjoy this one. I actually have not watched this one because it's a new one from Exploding Heads, guys. So we're going to be seeing this. I'm going to be seeing the first time I've seen this one with you guys, but it's from Exploding Heads, so obviously it's going to be very good. It's not Colin from Portsmouth, guys, but the headline of the funny video sounds very interesting indeed. So to all the over 65s here who are listening to this, the title of this video is, should we ban the over 65s from social media? Sound off in the comments.
And do you think this demographic should be banned from using social media for their own safety?
Oh yes, I believe the over 65s should be protected. Their minds aren't developed enough to protect themselves from the dangers of social media.
The many years of lead poisoning taking their toll.
That's right, it's an inability to think critically. It's an inability to be shown a photo of pre-war Britain and not comment those were better times because there were no immigrants.
Yes, writing entirely in caps lock, telling Facebook they don't own their recipes.
Commenting shocking or a disgrace on a photo of Muslims as clearly AI.
Sending a woman who DMs you your entire life savings.
Yeah, well, we've all done that.
Yeah, but it won't be easy to ban this demographic. After all, most of them have printed off the entire internet and put it in a filing cabinet.
Well, that's why we start small and ban the apps and platforms that they won't use or can't spell, like TikTok, and then we save the bigger platforms until last, like Facebook and the Daily Mail comments section.
But how do we revoke their access? Their passwords are stuck to the screen on a post-it note. It's all but impenetrable.
It's a case of re-education. It's a case of reminding them that there's a world away from the internet. Go outside, touch some grass, for goodness sake.
Even grass in London.
Exactly, yes. It's reminding them that London isn't dangerous just because it has a mayor with brown skin, and teaching them that putting "Happy birthday, Linda, have you put on a bit of weight" is not an appropriate comment to put on someone's engagement photo.
You do realise that this would mean a lot of politicians and world leaders would be banned from social media?
Yes.
It sounds like a brilliant plan. Thank you, Minister.
That bit at the end was very good. I'm waiting for people to say, how dare you suggest I be banned from social media? What do you guys actually think there? We have CNN Portugal, and they are forced to obey our laws when they got fined. They got fined back into the law, says Jow. A nation in debt has no business borrowing money to give to other nations and expected the taxpayer to fund the interest and debt. 21.8 billion to Ukraine every year with no accountability of gift. Tony, respectfully, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's not the subject we're on there, respectfully. So if you're complaining about money going to Ukraine, I suggest you read up the history of what's happening in Europe right now, respectfully. But I'm assuming you're against sending money to Ukraine, which you are entitled to your opinion, but that's not what we're talking about, respectfully. Grass in London is skunky, says Mr. E. How dare you talk about the grass outside my garden? Have you touched the grass? Have you touched the grass where I live, Mr. E? Joking, of course. Nobody over 65 in chat, says Mel. Lol. Maybe there is, but maybe nobody doesn't want to say anything. What a lovely story, says Jow. It was a lovely story. Look at the debt the US is in. Yeah, take a look at the debt the US in. All that grass in London, says Counter Kiev. Hey, there is grass in my garden, okay? There is grass in my garden. There is grass in London. All right, that's enough for me. That's enough for you, guys. That's enough grass. That's enough talking of grass, yeah, you guys. Otherwise, I'll grass you lot up. All right, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came along tonight. Thank you guys for all your comments. I really, really appreciate it. Just before we go, let me just have a quick check just to see if anyone did buy me a coffee before we head out. Viper Scott was very generous this morning. Bought me some coffees, and Rosemary did as well, saying towards a new camera. So yeah, at some point I haven't ordered the new camera yet, guys, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to order one because I just can't trust this one to be reliable here. For some reason, why are you not refreshing? Come on, refresh here. Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to double check that. Guys, just for a quick reminder, so Patreon videos have been recorded for the week. I have not recorded Rumble videos yet because I've had too many other things getting in the way. So I will try and record Rumble videos for the rest of the week tomorrow morning for you guys. What else do I have? Again, a reminder, on Wednesday, myself and Daily Blase are going to be on Van Man Talks YouTube channel as well. So if you guys join us tomorrow, Wednesday at 8 o'clock for that show. As for the watch along live stream, I think I've moved it to Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I'm pretty sure I've moved it to Friday at 3 o'clock for you guys. So you get 2 live streams on Friday, just because I'm nice to you guys there as well. But we also have the Good Morning shows. I'll be back live again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And also Global News will be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. guys. If you guys can join me for that, it'd be greatly appreciated. But again, thank you guys for all coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Really appreciated. And enjoy the rest of your week, whatever you guys are doing. But before I go, if you can, for me on your way out, hit that like button, share across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon as well for additional content. Do subscribe to Jal's YouTube channels. Subscribe to our good friend Dave McGuinness, and of course our good friend Daily Blase as well. They all do fantastic content. Do check out their YouTube channels if you can. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I will catch you guys all very, very soon.